So as the title would suggest, my tiny house is now on Airbnb, and in this video I'll be showing you what changes I've added to the house to make it better for guests. I'll be revealing the price I will be charging people to stay at the house per night, and I'll also be sharing a big juicy secret which I've not mentioned before, which is the actual name of my tiny house, because there is a bit of sentimental value behind it. I'm pretty sure it's safe to reveal that information now as well, given that it's on Airbnb and I'm not living there. I just never mentioned it before when I was actually living here because I didn't want that child catcher goof from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang turning up to kidnap me and Junior. I'll tell you this, running into him was definitely in my top 3 fears when I was growing up. So speaking of Junior, one of the big changes I've made throughout my tiny house is replacing as much of the furniture as possible. It's pretty much all of the furniture that has any kind of fabric on it, because one of my big concerns was people getting an allergic reaction to her fluff. So the first big piece to move was the sofa to my new place, which is also in the village, so no removal vans were necessary. I don't think I'm going to keep this sofa long term at the new place because I'd rather have a corner sofa here. I just think that a corner sofa would look nicer in this room and kind of separate the living area a little bit from the kitchen area, if that makes sense. Obviously, as part of this plan to get rid of all the fluff, I had to get rid of Junior, not in like a mafia hit or anything. I just moved her around to my parents' house for the time being, because the new place isn't quite livable yet and there will be some more work being done in that place. I didn't want to have her in there and risk exposing her to a lot of dust and the likes. She's already familiar with my parents' house as well because I've taken her around there loads in the past, so I just thought it was the most sensible and comfortable place for her to be for now. Moving on to something I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in, the price I'll be charging per night at this house. So on Airbnb you can do a thing called smart pricing, where you put in the lowest price you want to charge per night and the highest price you want to charge per night, and then Airbnb themselves will take those two numbers and sort of automatically add the prices to your calendar based on what dates they think should be the most expensive and the least expensive. So for the low end, when it's not really the holiday season, I chose £89 per night. And for the high end, which would be things like the peak of summer and Christmas, I put £119. Obviously, based on people's feedback, I'm open to adjusting those numbers as time goes on, as I want people to feel like they're getting good value for their money. I don't want people to feel like I've turned them upside down and shaken their pockets empty like some kind of cartoon character for a stay at my house. Now, one of the big things I was very concerned about with having this place on Airbnb was the risk of people opening the Velux roof windows, going out for the day, and then a sudden torrential downpour of rain coming in through the windows when no one was home. I don't know if it's the same for all of you watching this video wherever you are, but in my area the rain we get these days is so much heavier than I can ever remember, thanks to climate change I guess. So if all 3 roof windows were left open and one of those downpours came along, that could do a lot of damage to the house. So to remedy this, I got in touch with Velux, who are the brand that make my roof windows, and they said they have these motorized solar powered kits which let you open and shut the windows with just the press of a button. But also, very importantly, these kits have a built-in rain sensor so that whenever it rains and the window is open, it'll automatically shut the window for you. Despite being a complete plonker when it comes to DIY, the kit was actually very easy for me to fit myself. You just attach the solar strip to the outer frame of the window, attach it to the motor, screw in the motor, and then add a couple of little attachments to the window and you're good to go. For the first 2 installations, I was able to just stand on my desk with the stepladder and the worktop, But for the final one, I needed to have my mum holding the wobbly ladder for me. I didn't want to fall off the ladder and die on camera because I thought YouTube might ban me for that. On top of the solar powered motorised kits, Velux also sent me some of their solar powered motorised blinds, which, just like the motorised kits, means you can control all of the blinds with just the click of a button. I think having all of these windows and their blinds controlled by just 2 buttons is a much sleeker approach than having to get one of those high jump poles to open and shut the windows and the blinds. It's also quite a bit safer as well. I was always a bit worried about someone trying to open that Velux at the top of the stairs and possibly slipping, dying, and leaving me a 1-star review on Airbnb. So here are a couple of little clips of the blinds working, the motorised kits working, and also the rain detection working. It's honestly been such a huge relief to find a solution to my rain worry though. That one was sort of keeping me up at night alongside nightmares of the child catcher. I want to say thanks to Velux for partnering up with me on this video, and if you want to check out their solar conversion kits, I'll drop a link to them in the description below. With Junior taken care of by Tony Soprano, the fluff compromised furniture moved out, and the Velux upgrades installed, myself and my mum started going around the house and touching up any little bits of paint that were needing redone. Once that was finished, I started adding the new furnishings. One of the things I had been debating was leaving my big plants here, but I ended up deciding not to do that for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I didn't really want people feeling like they had to look after my plants while they were here, and the second, more important reason I decided to take them away is that my plants sometimes get these tiny little flies coming out of the soil, and I didn't want to risk that happening when someone was staying here. I've tried using bug and fly spray on the plants, and whilst it does work for a little bit, they always seem to come back. And personally, if I was staying at an Airbnb and had tiny flies buzzing around, I think I'd be a bit raging, so I didn't want to expose anyone to that nuisance. The plants did add a nice little bit of colour though, so I decided to replace them with a couple of little fake ones from IKEA, which I still think look really good without having to be maintained or causing any fly-induced mania. One of the other things I replaced, as you can see, was the TV. The 48-inch one that was there before was a model that is good for video games, so I wanted to keep that for myself since I didn't think anyone would be making use of that aspect of it, and I replaced it with a slightly bigger, brand new 50-inch TV, which I added Netflix and a TV license to. I've not actually had or needed a TV license the whole time I've lived here, but I felt the guests would need that for watching Antiques Roadshow and other important things like that. I've tried my best to replace the things that I took out of the tiny house with like-for-like additions, and I've also tried to think of any other extra things that I might have missed that guests would like. So if anything seems like it's obviously missing, then please let me know. One thing that is missing is a microwave. I've never owned a microwave, and I think in my entire life I've probably only used one about 5 times. My mum was saying that she thinks that might be an important thing to add, so let me know what you all think. Is it a bit cluttered? Is it necessary? Let me know. The only other thing I have to mention, which I promised I would, was the big juicy secret that is the name of my house. When I first bought this place, it was just called The Store at the Garage, which doesn't exactly give you a warm, fuzzy feeling. Because of that, I paid to have the house renamed to Bowersburn Cottage, because that was the name of my grand's house up north, and that was always my favourite place to visit when I was growing up. I actually got a little ceramic house sign made out the front by the pottery in my village, and that has the name of the house and a painting of the hill that overlooks the village. If you want to check out the listing and book a stay here, I'll leave a link below. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you leaving a like and subscribing for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.